Nahla Kowalski was 11 years old, and she knew that blue lips meant call 911, that shallow breathing could stop altogether in under 3 minutes, that you roll someone on their side so they won't choke, and she knew where her mother kept the Narcan, because she had used it twice already. All things she learned at 8, the first time she found her mother on the bathroom floor, when her mother survived and then sat her down to teach her the signs, just in case, so she'd know what to do, turning her daughter into a safety net for a woman who kept falling and kept promising to get better and kept meaning it, but never quite making it to the other side. What happened after a biker named Cornelius Abrams sat with her on that porch where she waited 3 hours for a mother who said she'd be right back, after a 2:47 a.m. phone call brought him to a bathroom where an 11-year-old had already administered Narcan and was counting her mother's breaths after 90 days of court-ordered treatment and a new apartment, and the beginning of promises that might finally be different, proved that children shouldn't have to be the adults. That addiction hurts more than just the person using, and that showing up can save more than one life. Nahla Kowalski was 11 years old, and she knew things no child should know. She knew that blue lips meant call 911. She knew that shallow breathing could stop altogether in under 3 minutes. She knew to roll someone on their side so they wouldn't choke. She knew where her mother hid the Narcan, and she knew how to use it, because she had used it twice already, and both times it had worked. She had learned these things at 8, the first time she found her mother on the bathroom floor. That time, she hadn't known what to do. She had shaken her mother's shoulders, screamed her name, dialed 911 with hands so small they could barely hold the phone. The ambulance had come. Her mother had survived. And afterward, when they were alone, again, her mother had sat her down and taught her the signs. Just in case, her mother had said. So you know what to do. Nahla had learned. She had learned everything. She had become the safety net for a woman who kept falling, who kept promising to get better, who kept meaning it, but never quite making it to the other side. Today was a Tuesday, and Nahla was sitting on the front porch of their apartment, watching the parking lot, waiting for her mother to come home from wherever she went when she said she'd be right back. Right back usually meant hours. Sometimes it meant days. Cornelius Abrams was 56 years old, a recovering addict with 19 years clean, who had been riding with the Risen Phoenix MC for 17 years. He had been where Nahla's mother was. He had been the one on the floor, the one who stopped breathing, the one who woke up in hospital rooms with tubes in his arms and shame in his chest. He had hurt people. He had broken promises. He had been the reason. Someone else learned things they should never have had to learn. Recovery had saved his life, but it hadn't erased what he'd done. The amends he owed stretched across years, and states, and relationships he could never fully repair. So he did what he could. He showed up. He helped where help was needed. He tried to be for others what he wished someone had been for him. The Risen Phoenix was built on this principle. A club of recovering addicts who channeled their second chances into service. They ran support programs for families affected by addiction, helped people get into treatment, sponsored recovery events. They understood the disease from the inside, and they understood the wreckage it left behind. On this particular Tuesday, Cornelius was dropping off supplies at the community center when he noticed the girl on the porch. She was sitting with her knees pulled up to her chest, arms wrapped around them, watching the parking lot with the kind of focus that didn't belong on a child's face. She wasn't playing. She wasn't reading. She was watching, waiting, her whole body tense, with a vigilance that Cornelius recognized immediately. He had seen that look on his own daughter's face 23 years ago, before he got clean. Before he almost lost her forever. Hit subscribe if you believe that children shouldn't have to be the adults. Comment the name of your city and share this with someone who needs to know that addiction hurts more than just the person using. Cornelius didn't approach right away. He knew better than to spook a kid who was clearly on high alert. Instead, he took his time unloading boxes from his truck, making himself visible without being threatening. After a few minutes, he walked toward the building's entrance, which happened to pass by the porch where she was sitting. "Afternoon," he said, keeping his voice easy. The girl's eyes flicked to him, assessed him in a single glance, then returned to the parking lot. "Afternoon, waiting for someone. My mom. She's coming back soon." The words were automatic, rehearsed. The kind of thing you said when you'd been asked that question too many times by too many concerned adults who never actually did anything to help. Cornelius nodded. "Mind if I sit for a minute?" These boxes were heavier than they looked. The girl shrugged. "Is not my porch." He lowered himself onto the step a few feet away from her, giving her space. For a moment they just sat there, two strangers sharing a concrete porch, one watching the parking lot and one watching her. "I'm Cornelius," he said finally. "Nala. That's a pretty name. Means honeybee, right?" She looked at him again, surprised. "Most people don't know that. I know a few things." He paused. "You sit out here a lot, Nala?" "Sometimes. Waiting for your mom." She hesitated. Then, because something about his voice felt different from the other adults who asked questions and then went away, she told the truth. She said she'd be back in an hour. That was 3 hours ago. Cornelius felt his heart clench. "Does that happen often?" Nala didn't answer. She didn't have to. They sat in silence for a while. Cornelius didn't push, didn't pry, didn't offer empty reassurances. He just sat with her, present without being intrusive, the way he wished someone had sat with his own kids during the years he was too sick to be a father. After 20 minutes, Nala spoke again. "You're one of the motorcycle guys," she said, "from the center." "That's right. Risen Phoenix MC. We do community stuff. My mom went to one of your meetings once." Nala's voice was flat. "She said she was going to get better. Did she?" "For a little while. Then she didn't." Cornelius nodded slowly. "That happens sometimes. Getting better isn't a straight line. People fall down a lot before they figure out how to stay up. She's fallen down a lot. I know the feeling." Cornelius paused, weighing his words. "I used to fall down too. A lot. For a long time." Nahla turned to look at him fully for the first time. "Used to use 19 years ago. Almost died more times than I can count. Hurt everyone who loved me. Lost my family, my job, my self-respect. What changed? Someone showed up when I was at my worst. Didn't judge me. Didn't give up on me. Just kept showing up until I was ready to do the work." Nahla was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had been living in her chest for 3 years. "What if she's never ready?" Cornelius didn't have an easy answer. He didn't pretend to. "Then you do what you can to take care of yourself. And you let people help you. Because you shouldn't have to carry this alone. If you're enjoying this story, hit that hype button right now. It's free, takes a second, and helps this video reach more people who need to see it." Now back to the story. Nahla's mother came home at 7 o'clock. Her name was Renata, and she was 34 years old, with the face of someone much older. She moved slowly, carefully, the way people moved when they were trying very hard to appear normal. Her eyes were glassy. Her words came out slightly slurred. "Baby," she said when she saw Nahla on the porch. "I'm sorry I'm late. Got caught up." Nahla stood, her whole body shifting into a different mode. The vigilance turned into assessment. She was scanning her mother the way a doctor might, checking for signs, calculating risk. "It's okay, Mama. Let's go inside." She didn't introduce Cornelius. She didn't explain why a stranger was sitting on their porch. She just guided her mother inside, one hand on her elbow, steady and practiced. Cornelius watched them go. He sat on that porch for another 30 minutes, wrestling with what to do. He couldn't force help on people who weren't ready for it. He knew that better than anyone. But he also couldn't walk away from a child who had just assessed her mother for overdose symptoms with the clinical detachment of an emergency room nurse. Before he left, he wrote his number on a scrap of paper and slid it under the door. "If you ever need anything," it said, "call this number, day or night." 3 weeks passed. Cornelius kept an eye out for Nala at the community center, but she didn't come to any of the programs. He drove by her apartment complex a few times, told himself he was just checking on things, saw her sitting on that same porch twice more. Both times she was alone. Both times she was watching. He wanted to do more, but he knew the limits. You couldn't save someone who wasn't asking to be saved. You couldn't force your way into a family's crisis. All you could do was make yourself available and hope they reached out. On the 23rd day, his phone rang at 2:47 a.m. "Mr. Cornelius." The voice was small, shaking. "It's Nala. I need help. She won't wake up." Cornelius made it to the apartment in 11 minutes. He had called 911 on the way, giving them the address, explaining the situation in the calm voice of someone who had been through this before. When he arrived, the front door was unlocked. He found Nahla in the bathroom, kneeling beside her mother, an empty Narcan nasal spray on the floor beside them. "I gave her the Narcan," Nahla said, her voice eerily calm. "She's breathing now, but she won't wake up all the way." Cornelius knelt down, checked Renata's pulse, her breathing, the color of her lips. The Narcan had worked, at least partially. She was alive. "You did good," he told Nala. "The ambulance is coming. You saved her life." Nala didn't cry, didn't shake, just sat there with her mother's head in her lap, watching her chest rise and fall, counting the breaths the way she had probably counted them 100 times before. "This is the 3rd time," she said quietly. "I'm tired." "I know," Cornelius said. "I know you are." The ambulance arrived 4 minutes later. If Bike Diaries has become part of your week, consider joining the channel membership. Just a couple bucks a month keeps these stories coming. Links below. And hit that hype button if you haven't already. Now back to the story. Renata was admitted to the hospital and then transferred to a treatment facility. This time, she didn't get a choice. A court order mandated 90 days of inpatient rehab, the consequence of 3 documented overdoses and a child in the home. Nahla was placed in emergency foster care. The Hernandez family had done emergency placements before. They were kind people, patient people, the sort of people who kept granola bars in their pockets and never raised their voices. They gave Nahla her own room and told her she could decorate it however she wanted. Nahla didn't decorate. She didn't unpack. She sat on the bed with her bag at her feet and waited for someone to tell her what happened next. Cornelius visited on the 3rd day. He had cleared it with the caseworker, explained his connection to the family, submitted to a background check that came back clean because 19 years of recovery had given him a record worth trusting. The Hernandezes let him sit with Nahla in their living room while they made themselves busy in the kitchen. "How are you doing?" Cornelius asked. Nahla shrugged. "Fine. You don't have to be fine." "I know." She picked at a thread on her sleeve. "Is she okay?" "She's in treatment. 90 days. They say she's doing well so far." "She always does well at first." Cornelius didn't argue with that. It was true, and Nahla had earned the right to her skepticism. "You know this isn't your fault," he said instead. "None of it. Not the using, Not the overdoses. Not any of it. Nahla didn't respond. I mean it. You've been taking care of her for years, doing things no kid should ever have to do. And that's not because you failed her. It's because the disease failed both of you. Nahla's lip trembled, the first crack in the armor she'd been wearing since he met her. I just wanted her to get better, she whispered. I know. I did everything right. I learned all the signs. I kept the Narcan where I could find it. I called 911 every time. And she still kept using. That's the thing about addiction, Cornelia said gently. You can do everything right and still not be able to control it. Because it's not your job to fix her. It's not your responsibility. You're 11 years old, Nahla. You're supposed to be worrying about homework and friends and what's for dinner, not whether your mother is breathing. Nahla's tears finally came, not dramatically, not loudly, just a quiet overflow of everything she had been holding back for years. Cornelius didn't try to stop them. He just sat with her while she cried, the way someone should have sat with her a long time ago. The 90 days passed. Renata completed treatment. She looked different when she came out, healthier, more present, more like the mother Nahla remembered from before everything fell apart. She cried when she saw her daughter. She apologized for everything. She promised again that this time would be different. Nahla had heard promises before, but something was different this time. Renata didn't just promise. She had a plan, a sober living house where she would stay for 6 more months, regular meetings with a sponsor, a job lined up at a restaurant where one of the Risen Phoenix members worked, a support system that would catch her if she started to fall. And she had Cornelius. He had visited her in treatment, not as a savior but as someone who understood. He had shared his own story, the years of destruction, the long road back, the relationships he had slowly rebuilt with his own children. He had told her the truth, that recovery was possible but never guaranteed, that she would have to fight for it every single day, that her daughter was watching and hoping and deserving of a mother who showed up. Renata had listened. For the first time in years, she had really listened. The day Nahla moved back in with her mother was a Thursday in May. Not to the old apartment. That was gone. Too full of bad memories and easy access to old connections. Renata had found a small place in a different neighborhood, clean and bright, with a second bedroom that Nahla could make her own. Cornelius helped them move in. He carried boxes up 3 flights of stairs, assembled a bookshelf Renata had found at a thrift store, hung curtains that actually matched for the first time in Nahla's memory. When they were done, the 3 of them sat on the floor of the empty living room, eating pizza from paper plates. It's not much, Renata said, looking around, but it's a start. It's home, Nahla said quietly. That's enough. Cornelius smiled. It's more than enough. Before he left, he pulled Nahla aside. You still have my number, he said, and it's not just for emergencies anymore. If you need to talk, if you need a ride somewhere, if you just need someone to listen, you call me. That doesn't change just because things are better. Nahla nodded. Then she did something she hadn't done with any adult in a very long time. She hugged him. Thank you, she said into his chest, for showing up. Cornelius hugged her back. This child who had carried too much for too long, who had learned things no child should know, who deserved a chance to forget some of those things and just be a kid. That's what we do, he said. We show up, again and again, until showing up isn't surprising anymore. Thank you for watching this story about an 11-year-old girl who knew the signs of an overdose because she had to, and the biker who wished she didn't have to, but showed up anyway. Addiction is a disease that affects entire families. Children of addicted parents carry burdens that no child should carry. They become caretakers before they learn to take care of themselves. They learn emergency procedures instead of nursery rhymes. They grow up too fast because someone has to hold things together. If you know a child living with a parent's addiction, reach out. Let them know they're not alone. Let them know it's not their fault. Let them know that adults are supposed to take care of children, not the other way around. SAMHSA's National Helpline at 1-800-662-4311 provides free confidential support for substance use disorders. Nar-Anon offers support groups for families affected by addiction. Al-Anon and Alateen help young people cope with a loved one's drinking. Subscribe to Bike Diaries. Hit that hype button to boost this video. And if you want to support what we do, the membership link is below. Share this with everyone who needs to remember that children shouldn't have to be the adults. That addiction hurts more than just the person using, and that showing up can save more than one life. Nahla doesn't count her mother's breaths anymore. She's starting to forget some of the things she learned at 8. Not all of them. Not yet. But she's learning new things now. Things 11-year-olds are supposed to know. That's the beginning of better.